Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Gentlemen, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you before us today. What I'd like to do is relate to you a conversation that I had and have had many times with some of our local policemen, whether they're Capitol policemen or policemen back in my home state. It's regarding the issue du jour, the issue that we're here about, that's information sharing. The story relates to an incident in which the policeman came upon a car, and this just happened to be one here in Washington, D.C., in which there were 4 individuals, Middle Eastern background. One had an expired driver's license. He was not driving. The other 3 individuals in the car had no identification. They were pulled over for a minor traffic violation, stopped, questioned. His comment to me was, he's prohibited from checking the legality of their status in the INS. And therefore, they were released because there was no way for him to find out any information about these individuals. It was a minor traffic violation. He did not know whether he had in his hand the next 4 individuals who may be conducting a terrorist attack. So, Mr. Greene, let me ask you, what legalities, what barriers, and what regulatory obstructions are there that prevent local police, first responders, from getting to necessary information to be able to ferret out from this 500 million individuals, those people that are here legally, not legally, in a timely fashion, that could make a difference before the next terrorist attack?
Yes, sir. As I mentioned earlier, the Law Enforcement Support Center, which has been in operation for more than 10 years, is designed specifically to address that particular area. In terms of somebody who's already in custody in local police, that can be done without any additional keystrokes. It's simply a matter of when you do the NCIC check, you also check out what is called an IAQ screen, and it automatically queries INS databases and gives you that information.
Mr. Greene, I understand that, and I think everybody here understands that we've got a database that has known terrorists in it, a database that has known individuals with wants and warrants in it that can be checked.
The support center goes beyond that, sir. It really has access to every single data system that the INS has. And
so that goes back to Senator Feinstein's question.
That's correct. We have people there 24/7 who can actually go into the different systems that the INS has and do a comprehensive check. And
how long does that take? Because obviously
the average is about 7 minutes back to a police officer who's on the phone. That's the national average. They do approximately 15,000 queries a month from local law enforcement for that particular purpose. And those special agents who are located at the LESC can, in fact, put a detainer on somebody who is being arrested by the local law enforcement officials for their own things.
They still have to know that the individual is a known terrorist to be able to be in that system.
No, they can actually identify in that system people who are simply immigration violators or are wanted absconders.
Let me turn to Commissioner Norris over here and ask that question of you. Do you feel that your line policemen and women out there on the street can access INS data without feeling restricted, impeded, or in any way prevented from having full use of that data when they do a routine traffic stop?
Well, that's the key, and that's what was not being said. We've had great cooperation, especially obviously post 9/11 with our people from INS, but it requires a phone call. That means we have people in custody for other reasons. From the scenario you gave before, people being stopped in a traffic stop, it's not likely no one would have a phone. You know, what happens in our business, unfortunately, it's always 2 o'clock in the morning on Saturday night when we run into these folks. Right. And the way it's done in the police world is via a handheld radio. And that's, we would, you know, if the names were in NCIC, that's how we would get them. And I think what has been done is we wouldn't have access to that database from the street unless they're already in custody. But they have put, it's my understanding, they put in wants and warrants into NCIC. So if someone is wanted, we have access to it. But as far as this, they would already have to be in custody for us to access it.
So there's no legal or constitutional or regulatory barriers that prevent anyone who is making a normal routine inquiry into a traffic violation or something of that minor sort to query INS with regard to the legal status of an immigrant?
Can I address that, sir?
Yes, sir.
I'm not a lawyer, but any police officer can voluntarily and consensually question anybody about anything. The question is what you do with that, and recently the Department of Justice indicated that there is no federal prohibition for a law enforcement officer in making an inquiry or even effecting an arrest of a civil immigration violation. It is the state provisions of the state constitution and the opinions of the state attorney generals that might pose an obstacle, but the federal system in itself does not.
Mr. Chairman, I'll wait for another round to continue.